Tennessee Death Row Dogs, your local dog rescue nonprofit.
I'm Jeff Cornwall, and this is the Entrepreneurial Mind. Today, my guest is Ron Samuels with Avenue Bank. We'll be back after a moment. Thanks for coming in, Ron.
Delighted to be here.
You know, you were one of the very first people who I felt really welcomed me into the business community here in Nashville. And I'm always grateful for that. You were with Union Planners at the time.
I was.
And you guys were a great support to my fledgling program, and I've always appreciated that. So it's been fun to kind of watch your journey in 11 years. It's quite a journey.
It has been. Our industry's been in a lot of transition and change, so I've been fortunate.
Yeah, I'm sure the transition from Union Planners to Regions was probably par for the course for a banker. There's always bank mergers and acquisitions, and they're all a little bit different. But the transition from more traditional corporate banking to opening your own bank was all new for you.
It was great.
And you did it at a time when everything looked fabulous. It was what, 06 you were kind of laying the plans?
Late 06 we started talking about a bank, and if you'll recall, early 07 we closed on a $75 million money raise.
Quickly.
Yes, we really started organizing in November of 06, and within 100 days we found a bank to buy over in West Tennessee, had the St. Louis Fed District approve
and
that.
Explain that a little bit for people who are not in banking don't understand.
Well, and I had never done this either. We went down to the library and Googled how to start a bank, and so it was. Unfortunately, there's nothing.
So
there.
you did what all of us would do at that point.
Yeah. I mean, you go to the internet. We had to use the library because we didn't own any computers or anything. We didn't have a phone. So, but it was it was quite a challenge when. We operate in the Atlanta Fed District. We wanted to get up and running as fast as we could. And we found the smallest bank we could find, Planners Bank, Henderson, Tennessee, and put a letter of intent to buy subject to a capital raise.
So this was an operating bank?
It was an operating bank. Actually, it was a 100-year-old bank. So sometimes when you look up information on Avenue Bank, they think we're 100 years old, but we're not. We're just barely 7 years old.
Right.
And so we had to, of course, go through all the approval process, but we added, by buying that in the St. Louis district, in the St. Louis Fed would have to approve also the move of our office from West Tennessee to the Atlanta Fed District in Nashville. So we're headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee.
So you bought the bank basically to get a bank charter.
That's correct, because if you went straight de novo, it just took at least a year to get that going, and we did this in 100 days.
Goodness gracious.
Yes. It's an amazing thing when I think back on it. And we had 11 people.
You brought quite a good team with you. I mean, you had developed a really good set of people over the years. And
it's all about people.
Yeah.
This is still a people business.
Yeah, and many of them are still with you, which is a testament to the quality of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I think, when to your point, things were really going good. 2006, early 2007, prime rates 8.25. Everybody consensus 9% prime by the end of 2007. Everybody I told that we're going to start this bank, they would say, Ron, we don't need another bank. And I would say always, this is not going to be another bank.
Right.
This is going to be a different kind of bank, a bank that challenges everything you think you know about banks.
Where did you get that business model from? Because it is, I mean, I have family members and friends who've banked with you from the beginning, and they're incredibly loyal. I mean, the business model resonated with these people.
It's an amazing, it's almost like membership, and some extent people sort of think they join Avenue family when you do this, because it's really sort of that back to the future approach. If you recall banking, say back in the early 70s, it was highly service oriented.
Right.
And
Yeah, my dad was on a bank board in a small town.
And
you're right, it behaved a lot like Avenue does today.
And so while we looked at some new models, Umpqua Bank out on the West Coast is a very innovative bank. And, as we looked at this, we said there needs to be something that distinguishes you, that competitive gap, that competitive advantage that everybody talks about. So we created the space called concierge banking. We didn't know exactly what that was going to be like. We felt like if you get the right person in the right job, you get them doing the right things, and kind of get them doing it right now.
And that was a term you guys created too, wasn't it?
Pretty much the concierge approach. Now, a lot of people, you can't trademark
Right.
concierge, but our idea was to put in people's mind that this is something special. I think when you talk about concierge, you talk about, that high-end hotel. Same thing with our name, Avenue Bank. Avenue means a path towards something.
And yet it's not a bank that has a stuffy feel to it. I mean,
Very intentional.
You go in there and there's a bowl with guitar picks sitting
Yep.
in the back.
And there's probably a guitar on a stand there. The music's loud and it's playing whatever the folks in the branch feel like they want to play that day. There's a TV on, usually on some business channel. If there's a great sporting event going on, it'll be on that. People like to hang out. It's sort of we're going to really try to redefine how our client experiences a bank. So all of this is very intentional about how the office looks, all of them very much the same, how you're greeted. People love to be called by their name. We hire people that basically have a strong commitment to serving people, and they do the right things. It's an amazing
Right.
concept. When people have a servant heart, they love to serve. So they do those kinds of things almost automatic, not scripted.
Right.
We want to be authentic and genuine, and create a really different experience.
I hate to shift to a downer, but when you're sitting with a banker, you got to talk about '08. And,
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, you guys were just a little over a year into this, or close to 2 years.
Yes,
And I remember sitting with you at lunch, and
perfect storm.
you didn't know what you said. How does any banker deal with this at this
Yeah.
point with zero?
It's I actually said to our team as we were developing the plans, and how dramatic this was is with the consensus at prime at 9%, to be sitting there in mid to late '08, and it had dropped 500 basis points. And you had a Fed funds rate at 0 to a quarter. Never, and I've been at this now 45 years, in my time in banking, had I seen anything that dramatic, that quick. You can't plan for that.
I was just going to say, if an entrepreneur comes in with an unrealistic worst case, you can look at him and genuinely say, let me tell you how bad it can get.
Well, and it gave us a whole new appreciation, because we are entrepreneurs
Right.
today,
Right.
of what the entrepreneur is faced with. I had a little experience entrepreneurially, didn't really even think about it, but had helped start a school in Memphis when I was about 23 years old that still exists today, the Barrett School of Banking. It used to be the Mid-South School of Banking, and
Right.
tied with the University of Memphis. And we started an antique store, my wife and I did, called Secondhand Rose Antiques. But nothing like the experience that a lot of entrepreneurs are putting everything they have on the line. And when we looked at how dramatic our numbers shifted, the net interest margin virtually went away
Right.
overnight, because we were lending based on LIBOR plus a couple of hundred basis points. When LIBOR was 560, that looked really good.
Right.
When it was 25 basis points at 2.25, and our cost of funds was at 5, didn't look so good.
It didn't look so good.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time, but obviously you guys got through that. What do you think was the one thing that got you through Being such a young, vulnerable company got
Right.
you through such an incredible perfect storm.
Well, I kept reminding people, we raised $75 million in capital. There's no way we can lose $75 million. Hang in there with me. Be patient, stay the course. We know what we're doing. We are bringing something exceptionally different to the marketplace. It was working. We were gaining clients each and every day. And, today we're at $889 million in assets, a loan portfolio of $570 million in deposits of $720. It's been quite a journey, but the big thing is don't try to be all things to all people.
Right.
Work your plan. Be willing to be agile if you have to, and keep as positive an attitude as you can about things.
Well, you always have, and it has paid off. Thanks for coming in today, Ron.
You bet.
Enjoyed
Enjoyed
it.
it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.